All right, live. We're live. Okay. Hey, everyone. Abigail, Angela. Let's see, get my glasses on. Yeah. Shannon. Hey. Okay, so today's actually Q&A, question and answer. But I do want to say today, in an hour from now, we do have the group clearing on. This is the clearing number 2 of well of grief. Okay, and the topic today is soul-shattering despondency. Okay, so this is like really the deep sadness that people live with. Okay, so just want to bring that to people's awareness. That's happening today, and in about an hour from now, the group clearing starts, and it'll be doing some really deep unraveling and clearing. So I'll wait for some questions, but I do want to talk. Let me just share a little bit more about that well of grief in case you don't know about it. I found it in a client back in 1987. And from then on, I started tracking all my clients and everyone. I started tracking the entire planet, making sure does everyone have a well of grief? Everyone has a well of grief, okay? It's just that really deep sadness, and it's many lifetimes of so many experiences that have caused such a deep trauma within, okay? Okay, hang on. What's slow? Malcolm X. That's cute. Her husband said I'm her Malcolm X. Cute. So think about this, okay? In my own world, I remember my entire life having a sadness until just this last year, which I did share that information. I found a piece of, wounding that I never could find. But, here's the thing. Things have to get activated, It's about what? What about? What is the show about? The show. I don't have a show. What's happening? I have a group clearing on the well of grief today, in an hour from now. Okay. So the well of grief is something that everyone has. Okay. So I was just sharing how in my life, I've been I've been doing this work. I've been doing inner work, healing work in my own self since 1984. And then I started professionally working with people, getting paid, like in 86. But I was still doing things. I did tarot readings. I did different kinds of psychic readings and that type of thing. But, and for me, when I started going my own journey, my own inner work, that's when and also having clients, that's when I found the well of grief. So in that well of grief, everyone has a well of grief. Think about it. Big old well with all the lifetimes of all this grief that everyone is, that everyone has. Okay, it's hard. It's like that places where you get broken, your heart broken, heart shattered, pain of losses and betrayals and abandonments and rejections and ostracizations and victimizations. All these deep grief that people have. Okay, so this is a 4-part. So this is part number 2 of the well of grief. And today will be the soul-shattering despondency. The one before was abandoned and forsaken. We're clearing out specific energies in that well of grief. So that recording is available at our website. Okay, so you can still get that. If you didn't get it, if you want that well of grief of abandoned and forsaken, you can still get it. Okay. Oh, hang on. What is this? How do I heal? Yeah, how do you? Okay, hang on. Sorry, guys. Let me back up. Let's go back in here. Let's go back to this one. Yeah, how do I heal? I'm heartbroken. Yeah, well, everyone's got some kind of broken heart. Okay, so I don't know if you're new to us, Aaron. I don't think. No, I recognize your name. Today's group clearing is going to be on soul-shattering despondency. That's heartbroken stuff. Okay, that's an issue of being heartbroken. So today is the next layer that I'm going into with the despondency. That's like deep, deep, deep pain. Okay. So everyone's got, the well of grief. And again, today I will be going in and clearing out that kind of energy. And then you have the recording that you listen to, and it keeps on clearing. Okay. So, it's like you got heartache, heartbreak, do the Well of Grief series, and we're going to hit all kinds of stuff in there. The next one will be loss of others, loss of others and self. And then the last one will be any kind of dark force interference in that well of grief. Okay, that happens. So the well of grief is major, major. When that starts getting lighter, your whole world changes. Your heartache, your heartbreak, feeling shattered, devastated, it's over. It starts to release and get cleared. Okay. Okay, hang on. So what is this one? Why don't you do a group clearing of pets? Oh, I never thought of it. Especially dealing with the energies coming in the planet and how it's by whatever you think they need with. Yeah. I mean, we could. The thing is, the thing to do would be to put that request into We Care. Okay, so We Care, we can put it in... if you send a request to We Care, tell them I said to go ahead and send the request, and then what'll happen is they'll bring it to the team, the people that set this stuff up, the people that set up the group, the titles and topics of group clearings. If people just tell them, hey, what about doing some group clearing on pets? Then we'll set that up. Okay, just so y'all know, you guys, I have a whole team behind me. Okay, I don't do all that back end stuff. Okay, I do what I do, because other stuff's not my area. Okay. Well, we're going to start, you guys, we are going to be doing health stuff. Okay. We're going to start working on health stuff. Okay. So this is asking about, if you have like gingivitis, teeth stuff, gum issues, skin allergies, things like that. Okay. So again, I think we got some health group clearings coming up next. I'm not sure if it's this year or if it starts next year, but we absolutely do have health stuff, group clearings coming. Okay, hang on. Okay, what is this? Many past life regression therapists like Dolores Cannon say that there are 3 to 5 exit points in life, and soul may choose to leave this life when it wishes. Please give your view on this. Okay, let me track it. Let me look. Okay, so hang on. So what they're saying is that there are 3 to 5 exit points in life. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm going direct, okay? I go direct. You guys. Here's the thing. Here's what you all need to understand about people getting information. If you're getting information, there's layers of energy that people get information from, okay? There's all these plateaus. I used to teach this way back. So there's plateaus of consciousness, plateaus of energy, okay? The higher you go in these plateaus, the clearer the energy. But if you go direct into the light, which is what I do, this is where I get my information, okay? So when I look, what I'm getting is there's places where there can be like what might feel like close calls, meaning things happened where it would seem as though, you might be exiting, but you don't, okay? Sometimes those near-death experiences would be considered one of those exit points, all right? But when I'm looking and tracking the energy, like I'm just going to look at everyone right here, right now. Hang on. I can actually tell you the day you're going to die. I'm not going to, but I could, okay? So let me just, okay, good. Is anybody on the, is there people, is there any accident? No, see here, there's the divine plan unfolding is what's happening, okay? The word has already been spoken. I've spoken this for 40 years. The word has already been spoken. Why do I say that? Because in tracking energy, going direct into the light itself, into God Creator consciousness itself, there are things that are going to happen no matter what, okay? Your death is one of them. Okay, so, I mean, a lot of people, I don't care what other people say, where are they getting their info, okay? Again, let me just describe. I remember, for example, channeling. I used to teach channeling, okay? And I used to channel. So what happened for me in the channeling, I began channeling back in 1976. 1976, I started channeling. I didn't know what I was dealing with, okay, but I started channeling. The story up to that doesn't matter, but basically what was happening is I was channeling, I was touched into anything and everything. Anything that wanted to come in, I was letting it in, okay? My sister as well, she was channeling as well, and my sister-in-law, all three of us were doing this. They lived in California, I lived in Nevada. And what happened is bad things started happening. Terrifying things started happening. So we all shut down because here's the thing. We didn't know what we were dealing with. We were just having a great old time channeling, okay? And then shit happened. My sister's horses got killed and hit by cars. The spirits were like attacking them. They broke through the fences and just ran down the road all the way down to a road that where cars are, got killed. So and then we were being attacked. Shit was happening to us. My sister-in-law was being taken over by spirits. So we shut everything down. So 8 years later, okay, 8 years later, I had moved, I had relocated, and there was a woman, she channeled this high-level being. So I had this desire to channel, okay, but what I did was, when I agreed to do this, I went, rather than stopping at any of these plateaus, I went into the light. Okay, this is what I learned about how to go into the light. So 1976 is when I began to work with the light direct, okay? Direct. That's where I go now. I discovered and learned all these other energies. You won't get pure information, clean, pure information, okay? So that's what I see. All right. Okay, I want to clear my fussy husband and fussy baby. Okay, well, actually, here's the thing. Pull, you guys, when I do the clearings, I tell people all the time, call them in. Okay, if you want somebody else to get the benefit of the clearing, call them in, and they get it. Okay, so whatever I'm working on, like today will be Soul-Shattering Despondancy. That's what I'm going to be clearing. Your baby's got it. Okay, if you're alive, if you're human, you have a well of grief. I don't care your age. Okay, let go to Dolores. What? Okay. If you wanted to hire me for okay, so okay, hang on. Here's a good one. Okay. Can you do a group clearing for this digital ID chip the governments want to bring, or for the world government stuff people are warning about? Okay. Okay. You guys, many years ago, I was still living in Colorado. We did a major clearing on some kind of interference. We got fucking whacked, okay? Major. And then I had to deal with aliens, and it was a nightmare, but it just depends. So there's things that we can do. Then when it becomes massive, there's ways in which to protect certain people. I can't protect the whole world, or what I'm saying? I can't stop this stuff, okay? But we can help anybody who's here, anybody who comes to us, to our stuff, okay? We can help. So I'm not going to try and I'm not here to save the world, okay? There's shit that's supposed to happen that I don't have, that I will not stop, okay? And I can help with your experiences of things. Like, for example, pulling you out of collective consciousness helps with all kinds of stuff, okay? And then also they're just different things. It just depends on, whatever we're wanting to do, whatever we're wanting to protect or heal or shift or change, there's things we can do. For example, think about this, implants. I used to pull them out. I used to go to the one percenters. I go to the military, the government, and I would literally go into the people controlling stuff and have them delete files, do different things. It's still a little bit, it's still kind of iffy. So when I got the direct knowing, create a hologram, put all the attachments, all the implants, all the devices, mechanisms, timers, activators, warehouses, factories in that hologram, and then remove it. Then that way, nothing got alerted that something was removed from you. Okay? And it's working. So, we find ways to get around this stuff. Okay? Okay. Okay, Charlene. Yeah. Okay, so when you went into the desert and secluded, yeah, I just told you that my first experience was in 1976 when I went direct. No, I'm sorry, not 8 years later. So guys, I don't do numbers. So what year would that be? 8 years later from 76. 84. 84 is when I started going direct into the light, 1984. And I did it because I wanted to channel again, but I knew the dangers of channeling. And I knew, because you guys, I had bad shit happen to me too. They were attacking my son. Okay, bad. It was not good. So we shut everything down. But when I wanted to open up, I was afraid. And I knew I don't want to go any low level stuff. So I just naturally just went right in. I was blinded by the light. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, okay, is there any consciousness here that would be willing to work with me? And an energy presented, and it was called it Taz. It was no longer incarnating. It was from Egypt. Okay, remember in Egypt, we did the enlightenment thing where we did all these initiations. Okay, so this was a being who had woken up. This being was willing to come into me. So I channeled Taz for several years. People used to come just to have Taz work on them. This is also where I started to realize, because Taz would reach into my body with Taz in it, would be going right into people's bodies, moving all this emotional energy. People's bodies, they'd be crying, all this energy, their bodies are shaking, vibrating, because I'm pulling all this stuff out. And it started dawning on me that, we can clear out emotional energy. So that, so then I, began to work at that level. So this is what I do to this day, is pull out emotional energy. And the well of grief, today, I will be pulling out emotional energy. Okay. So my first experience was, 1980, 84. I think that's what it is. 84. Yeah. Of going direct into the light. And that's how it happened. Okay, hang on here. How do you see the role of ancestors? Do you think they return to the reincarnation, exit in parallel or influence us in some other ways? Yeah. So okay, think about this. You may not get it yet, but we are multidimensional. Okay. So just for example, think about this. Okay. When you come to a group clearing, and let's just say we got 50 people at that group clearing. My awareness is with every single one of them. Okay. We have our higher levels. We have oversoul levels, God self levels, superconscious levels. We have aspects of us that are in other time-space dimensions, universe, galaxies, lifetimes, realities, all of that. Okay. So we are multidimensional. So your ancestors, all the ancestors, like even now, like Abigail, as you're talking, your ancestors are presenting to me very clearly. Okay. It's just an aspect of them. Think about this. It's an aspect. It's a piece of your soul. It's a piece of you, or not you, but of those individuals. Okay. So I can be, like you guys, people call on me a lot, all over the world, and I'm there in an instant, sometimes even before the thought's there. Sometimes I present even before they're having the thought. Okay. How's that happening? Because I'm multidimensional, just as you are. Okay. So they do reincarnate, okay? And they may or may not be in that same bloodline, okay? But they do incarnate, all right? And just like us, just like me, you, we are in other time space, and they can influence us in different ways. So that does happen, yes. Okay, it depends on the actual, like for example, for me personally, I would be considered a bodhisattva. If anybody understands that, what that means. It's that someone who will keep coming back until all beings are awake, okay, enlightened. So that's me. I'll keep coming back. This is what I do, helping people to wake up. And other people do different things. So, we incarnate and we do similar things and to help humanity. Not everyone, of course, but some. Okay, so it just depends on who they are, what their purpose is at that level. You know what I'm saying? Like we're all at different levels or awarenesses of consciousness, of enlightenment, so to speak. And it just depends on the individual. Okay, so there's some like ancient old souls, then the newer souls, all of that. Everyone's at a different level. It's not good, bad, right, wrong. It's just that's just what they've done. If you think about an ancient being, an ancient soul, they've been around a long time and they have a lot of experience. Okay, whereas the new ones, they don't have that much experience, so their energy doesn't have the density, so to speak, that the old ancient souls have. Okay, so just it's all individual. What a soul is wanting to do, or that type of thing. Okay, hang on. What is this? Okay. Sometimes I could track my trauma back to childhood, but some traumas couldn't be tracked back. Yeah. That's the thing. Okay. Everyone, here's the thing. Everyone's got carryover. Everyone. Okay. That carryover is what causes and creates us to recreate scenarios that will trigger that emotion so that we can get through it. Okay. This is why we do what we do. This is why our higher levels are connecting with other higher levels to bring us the perfect person that's going to trigger us to activate these old wounds. Okay. Guys, I'm going to be talking about this on tomorrow. Okay. If you can, it's free. It's totally free. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about the know thyself. I'm going to do some demo. I'm going to be, giving you some info so that you can really understand what it's about. Okay. But it's teaching you that, that your life, everyday life, you can actually start to access your subconscious and start to unravel and clear and heal your own stuff, even if it's past lives. Okay. So know thyself is a program to help you to get empowered and to understand how this works. How is this all working? You know what I mean? Like, for example, you got all this trauma. How do you do it? How do you get rid of it? How do you heal it? How do you clear it? Well, first you got to know it. Okay. So I'll go really deep into that tomorrow. Okay. So if you want to, it's free. Sit in, experience it. Okay. Free. Okay. Hang on. Abigail. She calls everyone and her dog in. That's cute. Okay. Okay. So what is it? Okay. Have you had any experience with benevolent AI? That's that artificial intelligence. Okay, hang on. Have I had any experiences with benevolent AI? Not in a sense of, like, I don't go looking to connect with AI. Okay, it doesn't have a consciousness. It's not conscious. Okay, but I do have experience with AI stuff and the effects of it. And I've had to do different things to help people with AI. You know what I mean? Like there's things have happened and then I can just unravel stuff for them. Okay. But I don't really connect with AI. Okay. Okay. What is this right here? What? Where'd it go? Sorry, I kicked myself out. I don't know how I did it, but okay. So let me come. There was a question here. Where'd it go? Okay. Okay, here's something. Okay. I try to find ways to help people with psychosis and that they find back to harmony. You want so that nature absorb it. For example, one in normal 3D, but they astral higher self is psychotic. Yeah. Dealing with the higher self is psychotic, is intense, you guys. Okay, so at that level, you actually you're not going to, if you're dealing with psychosis at that higher level, at the soul level, okay, which happens, you can't try, you're not going to fix it at a human level. It's not going to happen. You have to do things with that psychosis, that psychotic soul. Like, for example, when I work with that kind of energy, first thing I do is I'm going to net it with the white net. Okay. The white net is an energy frequency that you would learn about in the fundamentals of, energy healing, shamanic energy healing, which are our program. You'll learn about the white net. So what I do is I literally capture that energy and hold it in that white net. That white net is the consciousness of creation itself. It actually has what, on planet Earth, we have belief systems here around things like the Holy Spirit or, things of that nature. Okay. Holy Ghost, Holy Spirit. Okay. So that energy is holding that soul frequency. And then sometimes I'll literally take it into the light itself, because what happens is it neutralizes the psychosis. It brings the energy of that soul back into balance, and the energy frequency of unconditional love and light is how could you say, it's like activating what you already are. Okay, we are already pure love and light. Okay, we are not psychotic. Okay, but that energy holding it starts to bring it back into balance, and then the frequency of that psychosis can start to neutralize and dissolve. Okay, now for that to happen, there has to be extreme situations happening in that soul's evolution. So we also need to unravel, where did the psychosis begin? What caused it? Okay. And then we start to unravel that. And then we can bring that soul energy frequency back to this, right? Into this time-space dimension, and it will be healed. Okay. So that's how you do it. In a nutshell, that's how you do it. Okay. Okay. So Pri's asking me, did you have a spiritual awakening that unlocked your divine mission? No, I wasn't that lucky. No, I had to go through extreme, excruciating pain. So at the age of, I think I was either 8 or 9. It was right back in there when I actually tried to will my, that's when my desire trying to die happened. 8 years old, 9 years old. Okay, when I was actively trying to die. So no, I did not have a spiritual awakening. I had friggin' trauma. I had intense, horrific things in my life happen to me. And then I've lived through massive amounts of things, experiences. And so what happened was 1984, I was actually truly going to, I was done. I told my family, I'm done. I'm checking out. So I agreed. My husband was like, okay. So I agreed to, to go see this psychotherapist. Yeah. And so I went there, and, so I felt clearly I'm still here. So I chose to stay. Okay. But the journey wasn't over. That was just the beginning. So no, it's been a journey of looking within, of doing my own inner work, of doing lots of what we would call journeys, sacraments, ingesting stuff to expand awareness, expand consciousness, to understand and see things. So I've got years and years and years of all of those kinds of things. Okay. You can't have an experience that blows your mind and come back and be who you once were. Okay. So, and then also think about this, my own journey of working on myself, my own inner healing, doing massive amounts of emotional work, emotional clearing, and working with thousands and thousands and thousands of people, hands-on healing. I used to have a Renaissance Center in person, for 13 years, massive workshops, changing people's lives. Okay. So I have massive amounts of experience, hands-on experience. So that's what happened for me. I didn't get that spiritual awakening. Okay. I didn't get to have it that way. Okay. Okay. Hang on. What? Okay. When I do your older clearings with removing and deleting implants, I now ask for the updated, yes, yeah, good. Yeah, we don't want to do it the old way because, I mean, not that it still works, you guys, okay? But I had a knowing that, that there could still be an alert, in the peoples that are programming all these things that send energy implants out to people. Okay, so this way the hologram thing is much safer. So that's pretty cool. That's very cool. Okay. Okie dokie. Okay, I've been aware of negative AI frequencies broadcasting in other universes bleeding through to this one. Is this affecting everyone more personal? Okay, so the AI, the things that are happening in other time, space, other dimensions, I can see them. The alien, there's a lot of alien stuff where they're using, there's a lot of AI and other time, space dimensions. Absolutely. The bleed through is happening for sure. And when I watch that bleed through, is it affecting humanity? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's something I can actually help with. Okay. Okay, hang on right here. Okay, so curious if you intend to have any in-person events or sacred site group bits, journeys, or online ones in the future. I don't know, you guys. For me, it's like I stopped. My last workshop was like 2 years ago. My last in-person one was like 2 years ago. And so I've been doing these in-person things, like I said, since 1986. Group clear. I take people on trips. We go to different places, do all kinds of different things, sacred sites, blah, blah, blah. But they're not, I don't know. It would just depend. You know what I mean? I would need to have like a real request with enough people that would want that. Then I would consider it. Okay, multi-means means we are existing parallel. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Okay, aspects of us. Yes, multidimensional beings means we are existing parallelly in 3D or in other dimensions like 4D, 5D. You guys, science has proven that they know of 12 dimensions. Okay, dimensions are overlaid right here. Okay, there's dimensions happening right here. I can shift my awareness and be in any dimension in an instant. You can do this as well, okay, with training. But yeah, so we are in, different dimensions, time, space. Yes. Okay, now. Charlene, did you ever get burned out doing all this work or felt it's never ending? Okay, so here's what's up with me, you guys. Yes. Burned out. Okay, this is why I closed the Renaissance Center down in 2004. I was fried. I went into the desert. Okay, I stopped everything for at least a year, and then I started doing workshops again. But basically now, I'm cutting back on clients. I'm cutting back, you guys. I just want to do the group stuff, the group classes, the teachings, the group clearings, programs, group things. I want to be done with the one-on-ones like this year. Okay. Most of my recent clearings keep bringing me back to my time at the mystery school in ancient Egypt. Any insight you can share in general on this to give someone's time in ancient? Yeah, I have, you guys. I've taken groups to Egypt. I've been there 2 times. Okay, we've been in the king's chamber, the sarcophagus. Everyone got to get into the sarcophagus. We were at the temple, Isis temple. We literally realigned because the old temple was moved. They moved it brick by brick because of the Nile River. It was flooding it, so they moved it. So we were there, and I ended up with the group. We realigned the original energy with the new temple. It was only a quarter mile away, but when you look at the skies, it's like minutely to move that energy. So we moved it and it activated the entire temple. But coming back to, yes, I have memory of yes, I was high priestess. Yes, and the initiates wear these little tails, on their, like there's a waistband, they have a tail or a string on a rope that hangs down. Those are the initiates who made it through all the initiations and the final initiation of the sarcophagus, where you go in there for 72 hours. Okay, you guys, when I was in the sarcophagus, this is also how I know things, you guys. Okay, I was shown creation. I was shown that there was a nothingness, nothing. Okay, black, nothing. The moment creation had an awareness, that was what they call the Big Bang. This is what I was shown. Okay, so that awareness created movement. That movement began to create the molecules and all the stuff that took trillions of years to become matter. Okay, to become dense matter, and and everything. Then here we are on planets, trillions and trillions and trillions of years later. Okay, but yes, that was one of the things I was shown. I saw it very clearly. The other thing I saw was very clear was, the soul. That your soul doesn't care if what happens, whatever you experience. Okay, I was shown a battle, and I was showing the soul above the bodies, with the cord hanging on, and one arm getting chopped off, and all this shit that we happen. And as a human, soul doesn't care. Okay, it doesn't have no attachment to any of that. Yeah, so. Egypt was a time with the initiates. This is a time with the high-level peoples. It wasn't about the masses. It was a select few, that went into the temples, that were seeking enlightenment. Okay, most people didn't make it. They didn't make it through all the initiations. In Egypt, there's the temples, and there's all of them. Okay, there's that temple where you're facing your fear. Okay, they had these wells, and they would put crocodiles in the wells, and you'd have to go in. See, back then it was about control. It was about mastering over your body, mastery over your emotions. So you could actually, when in the sarcophagus, you have to slow everything down till you're almost dead. You know what I mean? Like, not dead, but the breath, the heartbeat, everything. You had to master your body to do these things. For me, what I teach now is the new paradigm. Okay, new paradigm, know thyself, which is I'm teaching Saturday. Come hang out with me. I'll be teaching this stuff. It's free. Okay, so that's what I'm teaching. What I'm bringing now is the new paradigm mystery school. Okay, the ancient teachings, know thyself. Right. So it's different, because for me, what I discovered and learned through going direct and working with all these thousands and thousands of people is by clearing out the emotion. It was over. You no longer had to try to be a certain way or monitor your thoughts or, control your body. None of that. Okay. You organically start to become the truth of who you are, which is a divine being, divine light. Okay. All right, guys. All righty. Yes. Okay. One more question. I got to go because I have to connect with the group for the group clearing in 20 minutes. Okay. Can we make attached to current spirit leave us on? Yes. By going and taking back our power. No, it's not about taking your power. No, anyone can release discarnates. Okay. First of all, you got to know they're there. Okay. Then you connect with them and you release agreements and contracts that you've made that has allowed these to come into your body. Okay. Get rid of that, get those agreements and contracts. And then, you can just bring the light down, bring the loved ones down, bring the emissaries down, help them escort out. So yes, we teach this. We teach you how to do that. Okay. But yes, you can get these discarnates out on your own. Okay. All right, everyone, I need to get going. Thank you for being here. Again, we'll be here. We come here twice a month, the second Friday of every month and the fourth Friday of every month. I come here. The first one is on quantum consciousness. I give information, and then the next one, the last one is the Q&A like today, okay? But again, I just want to remind people that on Saturday, if you can, know thyself. This is like the new age, the new paradigm mystery school teachings, all right? From going direct and shifting and changing from the old ways to the now. All right, everyone. And then, today, the group clearing on Soul-Shattering Despondancy, Well of Grief. Get this sadness out, people. It'll change your world, change your life. It'll change how you see the world. Okay. Bye.